Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel for those who are returning, and welcome for those who are new. I'm finally going to talk about my fountain pens and the journey that I've taken on this somewhat enchanting hobby, as some people call it. I am not a connoisseur. I don't profess to be knowledgeable at all in fountain pens. So this is just a one-on-one chat. If you'd like to share your journey with fountain pens, please leave them in the comments below. So let's just get into it. It's been about 3 years. If you've been following me since the first fountain pen that I have ever gotten, it is the Kaweco Lilliput, and this is in the fire blue, I believe is what it's called. It is just absolute favorite of mine still to this day. It is in the extra fine nib, and I have always kept the ink the same, which is the Oxblood from Diamine. Before I get into what these, well, I'll just leave this out, what these fountain pens mean to me, I definitely want to discuss what they mean to a lot of people, because I think when I watched content creators here on YouTube talk about their love for fountain pens, it really intrigued me and I decided to try one. If you've been following me for a while, it takes a little bit of time for me to make a purchase or even get really involved in getting a collection like this. So I have 13 pens, as you can see, 2 Kakunos from Pilot, and I used to have one other, but I lost it and I never did replace it. I don't know if I ever will. Kaweco Sport is another brand that I enjoy. I have 2 TWSBIs, the mini and the regular size, but it's the diamond version, the 580, and then of course the mini. I have 2 of the Watermans. This is in regular chrome and this is in black. And then lastly, this was gifted to me. It is a cross pen, and I'm sorry, I have lotion. I have lotion all over my hands, so oh my goodness, I don't know if I'm going to be able to open this. Hold on one second. Let me just, well, this is going to be difficult. Okay, here we go. Yeah, you just pull the cap off. It's not one of the twist options. A medium nib, I believe. Oh, now I won't be able to. Okay, here we go again. Hold on. Okay, so now I got ink on my shirt. Okay. This is a medium. Yes, it's a medium nib. And the way that you can tell if you're just getting into fountain pens, it actually tells you the nib size on the nib itself. Alright, so I had to stop the filming because my husband was talking to me. So I totally forgot where I was. I think I was talking about the nib sizes that were on the nibs themselves. So this is really the only gifted pen that I have. Kind of got this for my birthday, but it was more a present to myself. This 580 Diamond from TWSBI. I absolutely love this pen. I just got it in December. And this, I believe, was my second pen, the TWSBI Mini Rose Gold. And this one is the only, I think it's a broad nib. It's the only broad nib that I have in my collection. I have a lot of extra fine, fine, medium, but this is the only broad that I own. Which that was by design, because I wanted to have a pen that I did my headers on my journals and planners, but I also write with this as well when I journal. As far as the inks, this Emerald of Chivor has always been in this pen. I haven't changed it at all. Most of the inks that are in my pens remain the same for the most part. I have the Iroshizuku Konpeki by Pilot. It goes in this turquoise pen. I think it's called something else, Cyan or something like that, from Kaweco. And this Ferris wheel press ink goes in my Pilot Kakuno. It's been like that since the beginning. And then this recent ink that I got, Hope Pink, goes into my Diamond 580 TWSBI. And it's been like that since I got it. And then these two inks, they're Diamine. This is the Diamine Oxford Blue, and that goes in the black Waterman pen. For the chrome Waterman pen, I put the green black from Diamine. Hi, baby. Mommy's filming again. So I guess Edward's going to hang out with us for a little bit. A couple of things that I wanted to talk about in terms of fountain pens is that I think when you get into trying out fountain pens, I've watched a ton of videos before actually buying my very first fountain pen, and the reason why I got this fountain pen is because of my mini traveler's notebook. Let me get it. Let me show you. Let me actually show you the handbag that I'm in right now. Y'all have seen my beautiful Denny & Burke mini, and I have it right in here, my little teeny tiny planner. I'm actually carrying Edward right now in my arms. All right, sit down, baby. Okay, so we have my Chic Sparrow Nano, and this is where I clip it on, right here. It's a little clip thing, and I just clip it on like that. Whenever I'm walking around the office, if I need to carry it around, or in my house, if I'm not carrying it in my handbag. When I decided on my very first fountain pen, I wanted something small and compact to fit this tiny planner. And one of the things about paper and fountain pens by Edward. Okay, so a lot of people talk about the paper, pen, and ink combo, the trifecta. I don't mind the way that fountain pens look on Moleskines. I also don't mind it on Leuchtturm paper as well. I wonder if I could show you a sample. Maybe I don't have one on this particular paper here. Well, let me see. Okay, I guess I can show you this. You might be able to see the ghosting. I don't know if you can really see the ghosting on this, but that's pretty much how I journal in my Moleskine, and it's not that bad. I don't mind it at all. It looks just fine. So that's kind of a glimpse of how I use my fountain pens and my Moleskines. Now, these fountain pens are much better suited for the paper that's in here. Let me get this out. So you may have seen this before. I've put it in my other videos. And this paper is Tomoe River paper. And this is the original before the successor. And this is my art journal. It's an A6 Hobonichi. It's just the basic Hobonichi. It's not dated or anything like that. I have to agree that yes, fountain pens do work much smoother, and the colors, or the inks I should say, do show up better on Tomoe River paper. Now, it can get expensive for that type of paper, so if you prefer a more affordable, I mean, this type of paper is not cheap, and this is Traveler's Company. The special editions, they normally come with Midori paper, MD paper. And these are pretty good in terms of fountain pen inks and how they look. So if you want something a little bit more affordable, MD paper does really well. Now, before you go out, buying all the paper, all the pens, all the inks. Consider this. All of these things can really add up financially. Some people end up finding that out after getting a bunch of pens, papers, inks, and realizing that they're really not into fountain pens. And, you know, that's not a very good way of finding out after you've already spent quite a good bit. Let me back up a little bit here. So I guess what I'm trying to get at, if you are considering getting into fountain pens, I actually talked to my daughter about this about a month ago. She does not have fountain pens, but I told her she should try using some of my fountain pens, just testing out some of the nibs, the type of pens and the inks before she decides to purchase them. Because you never really know if you're a fountain pen person unless you try them. Now in my case, there's not an option for that. I live in a small town. I don't live in a big city. There's not very many places that you can go to get these fountain pens. So I've had to stop this multiple times because my dog all of a sudden just started barking up a storm. But anyway, I believe I was talking about my daughter. I told her to try my fountain pens out, write with them. I don't have the ability to try certain pens because I live in a small town. However, we do have a paper store that I was able to get the Kaweco pens from, also the Pilot Kakuno pens, but other than that, there wasn't really much of a selection. They did have the inks and also the Tomoe River paper. Now you can get Rhodia paper. They are fountain pen friendly, and you can get them in grid. You can also get them in plain. I've done some writing samples on here, and they turn out pretty good. The Rhodia paper is actually more affordable, I think, than the other three brands that I mentioned to you. The MD paper, the Tomoe River paper, or the Moleskine paper, those are a little bit more expensive. And that is definitely something to consider if you really want to utilize the pens. Yes, you can use regular paper, but they won't really enhance the writing experience. Now let me just say that the casing, I should have really known better not to get white because I am very clumsy. I'm just not a careful person. Y'all know this already who have been following me for a while. So I ended up putting too much ink in it and it overflowed and the crevices wasn't tight enough because I had unscrewed it. So now it's a stain. I didn't realize that that happened until after it was already soaking in the ink while it was closed. But it's fine. The outer portion still looks okay. I don't mind it. And I'm not really into, super aesthetics. It doesn't have to be this pen. It's a collector's edition, but it has some scuffs on it already because I used to keep them in just a regular pencil case. Now, I got this last December, the Galen Leather 10 pen case. So it's magnetic. It also comes with this Velcro, I don't know, I guess it's a protection of some sort so that your pens don't rub together. I absolutely love it. This is now what I use. It's gotten a lot of wear and tear. So I got it in December. It's now August. This is just me, okay? You don't really need a fountain pen case. However, I do want my pens to last long, so I don't really want them rubbing against one another, getting cracked and chipped and all that. What do I want to say to anyone who's considering getting fountain pens? The inks, the pens, the paper are expensive. The cases to hold your pens, even the containers that you want to hold your inks in, unless you already have a container to put them in. I can say that you really have to consider that before you get into, I guess some people call it a hobby. I'm not a collector, I should say. I use them every day. This case comes with me every single day, Monday through Friday to the office. And then when I'm here, I also use them at home. Sometimes when I go on little weekend adventures, when we go somewhere in the park or something like that, I'll bring a pen with a notebook. And I also have this journaling bag, which y'all have seen. I take it with me sometimes. I will go to the coffee shop or the bookshop. One thing that I can say is I'm very glad that I watched a lot of videos on YouTube before I actually bought my very first fountain pen. I think some people have made videos saying that they didn't know they had to clean their pens. That is something that I learned before purchasing my very first one. I watched about the type of different nibs. If you have large handwriting, what kind of nib is best for you. If you have small handwriting, what nibs are best for you. The comfort of the size of the pen, if you have big hands, if you have little hands. And some inks can be very dry, some can be very wet, and the ink and pen combinations can really affect it. I know with the TWSBIs, they are very wet pens, so if you put a very wet ink in with a very wet pen, it can really cause, when you're writing, to get smudged. It's not as easy to dry after you write. I usually keep a blotting sheet, and I think I showed it to you in here. I have one of these. I just, after I finish writing, that way I don't have to worry about getting smudged right after I do a journal entry. Just makes it easy. I knew in the very beginning that when I started getting my second, third pen, fourth pen, before I did all of that, I did a lot of research in terms of the types of pens, what kind of pens were easy friendly. One of them is the Pilot Kakunos. These are really made for kids, but a lot of really seasoned fountain pen users still use their Pilot Kakuno because it's always ready to write. Reliable is the word a lot of people use. And they're very durable, made of plastic. Now you also have to consider the weight of a pen. These can get heavy after a while because they're made of metal. Now this one, not so much because it does have plastic along with some metal pieces. I can write a little bit longer with this pen as opposed to this pen, or even this pen. So you just have to consider that. Also have to consider, if it can be capped. This one I don't normally cap. I don't think it's meant to be capped because it just is uncomfortable. The weight of the cap, I don't know, makes it uncomfortable after long periods of writing. And then it can also damage this area right here because this is used to suck up the ink. You twist it. So I don't think it was meant to be capped. You just set it down and you write with it. It's long enough so it's comfortable for me. Now, something like this might not be comfortable to someone with big hands because you can cap this. I usually cap it. You don't have to cap it, but it makes the pen longer. This is a mini size, so something like this, maybe not so much for someone with big hands. I've seen people use this that have big hands. It just, what level of comfort do you have? What can you put up with? I think that's important. Also, some of these pens don't come with a clip. So this clip I had to purchase separately. You can purchase clips for these. I don't really care to. They don't roll because they have flat edges. These also have flat edges, so I don't really need those extra things. But that is something to consider when you're purchasing these pens. As far as inks, some people do get addicted to purchasing inks. I don't really care to have a collection of inks. I watch a lot of YouTube reviews, creators that use fountain pens, so they do a lot of ink swatches. They, recommend certain brands. And I also have to consider the cost too, because there are some inks that, yes, can be very expensive. This being one of them, but I knew I wanted it in my collection because I really enjoy this color. It's a very beautiful color. If you've been following me for a while, you know that this is my favorite color. I do enjoy that color, turquoise. I guess some of the cons of having fountain pens, sometimes when I'm writing, it just runs out of ink. And it's not truly frustrating. I just grab another pen and continue writing. It can be frustrating when there's a specific ink that you want to use for that day or that journal entry. Cleaning them is not really a hassle. So I got some of these from Amazon. They can fill up with the inks and use them that way. So I don't find cleaning them a hassle. Now they can stain. I just stained my shirt just now trying to wipe off the lotion off my pen, but anyway, it's okay. Even though how clumsy I am, thank God, like, knock on wood, haven't caused any type of disaster. I find that if you wash whatever it is that it ends up on with soap and water quickly, staining is not a problem. Some people were saying that their sinks were stained. I guess if you have a specialty type of sink, maybe. I don't foresee myself having a huge fountain pen collection because it is expensive. So that's something you do definitely have to consider. Now, there are 2 items that are still on my wish list. So I guess I'll leave you with, if you're thinking about purchasing a fountain pen, maybe try one. Watch as much content regarding fountain pens before you dive in, I guess, to your first pen. Everyone is not going to have the same experience with certain pens. I know some people enjoy certain pens while others don't. So it looks like I might be losing some light. My battery just died. I don't even remember what I was saying. I don't have a lot of regrets in terms of what I buy, and this is the reason behind that. I really research the things that I get. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that was helpful if you are considering getting into fountain pens, the inks and paper and all that. I really am thankful for everyone that continues to come to my channel. I really, really appreciate all of you. Okay, I'm now rambling. So yeah. I definitely look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.